The Strait of Hormuz, the untold story of the world's most important waterway. Welcome back to the Strait of Hormuz. If you stand on the shores of the Strait of Hormuz today, you will see the deep blue sea, rugged mountains, steep rocky coastlines, and enormous oil tankers slowly making their way across the water. At first glance, it may seem as though this landscape has always looked this way. But the reality is completely different. Millions of years ago, there was no Strait of Hormuz. The Persian Gulf did not even exist. The map of the Earth looked entirely different. Continents were slowly drifting apart. The oceans were changing their positions. And deep beneath the Earth's surface, powerful geological processes were taking place. Processes whose results are still visible today. The Earth's outer shell is not one continuous layer. Instead, it is divided into massive tectonic plates. These plates move very slowly every year, sometimes only a few millimeters, sometimes a few centimeters. The movement is so slow that humans cannot feel it. But over millions of years, powerful geological processes were taking place. Processes whose results are still visible today. These tiny shifts create mountains, reshape oceans, and give birth to entirely new landscapes. The history of the Hormuz region is the result of one such extraordinary journey. The Arabian tectonic plate gradually moved northward and eventually collided with the Eurasian plate. As these enormous plates pushed against one another, the Earth's crust began to fold. In some places, the land rose to form towering mountain ranges, while in others, it sank to create deep basins. Over millions of years, this geological process slowly formed the Persian Gulf and its narrow gateway, the Strait of Hormuz. But the story does not end there. One of the most fascinating geological features of this region is the salt dome. Millions of years ago, thick layers of salt accumulated across this area. Over time, those salt deposits became buried beneath layers of rock, sand, and other minerals. Salt does not behave like ordinary rock. Under immense pressure, it can slowly rise toward the surface. That is why enormous salt domes can be found throughout the Hormuz region,
making them an important subject of study for geologists around the world. According to many experts, these salt structures also played a significant role in the formation of the region's vast oil and natural gas reservoirs. In other words, millions of years of geological change did not simply create a beautiful island. It also laid the foundation for one of the world's richest energy resources. Now let's move to the most famous feature of Hormuz Island.
Many people call it the Rainbow Island. The reason is simple.
Within the same landscape, you can find mountains colored red, yellow, orange, black, white, purple, and brown.
From a distance, it looks as if a giant artist has painted an enormous canvas. But these are not colors applied by human hands. Each layer represents different minerals. Some contain iron-rich rocks. Others are filled with oxidized minerals. Some consist of volcanic rocks,
while others were formed from ancient marine sediments.
Every single layer represents a different chapter in Earth's history. It is as if nature itself has written a geological diary over millions of years directly onto the rocks.
Hormuz Island is especially famous for its red soil. Locally, this mineral-rich soil has traditionally been used as a natural pigment, sometimes known as gelak or geru.
In the past, it was used in art, construction, and various traditional applications. Today, however, the extraction of these minerals is regulated in many areas to help protect the island's fragile environment.
When the sun rises, the mountains display one set of colors. By midday, the landscape looks completely different.
And during sunset, the entire island glows with brilliant shades of gold and deep red.
Because of these changing patterns of light, the same landscape feels different every single day.
That is why geologists, photographers, and nature enthusiasts travel from all over the world to visit this remarkable island. It is a living record of Earth's history. Yet despite these harsh conditions, life has never disappeared. The air contains high levels of salt. The soil holds very little moisture. Summers are intensely hot.
Even so, certain plants, tiny animals, and microorganisms have adapted to survive in this challenging environment.
Nature never remains the same. Where one form of life cannot survive, another finds a way to adapt.
And adaptation has always been one of life's greatest strengths on Earth.
To most visitors, the mountains of Hormuz appear silent. But to a geologist, they tell an incredible story. Every layer reveals when this land lay beneath the sea, when volcanic activity shaped the landscape,
When the land was uplifted, and when nature itself created an entirely new geological world.
It is a history spanning millions of years, not written in books, but carved into stone.
The narrow waterway we see today did not appear overnight.
It was created through countless earthquakes, the slow collision of tectonic plates, changing sea levels.
That is why understanding Hormuz means far more than understanding a place on a map. It means understanding one of the greatest chapters in the geological evolution of our planet.
But this extraordinary natural creation did not remain unnoticed for long. Because people soon realized something important. Whoever controlled this narrow passage could control one of the world's most important maritime trade routes. And that is exactly where a new chapter begins. The rise of great empires. The competition for control of the seas. The voyages of ancient merchants. And the struggle for power. In the next episode, we will discover how ancient Persian, Arab, and Indian merchants used this strategic waterway. Why the Portuguese Empire captured Hormuz. How the British Empire expanded its influence across the region. And why the world's greatest powers have kept their eyes fixed on this small but incredibly important waterway for centuries.